Hey, what's up guys? I am back and I want to talk about something interesting I've been noticing with the Switch, or have not been noticing with the Switch basically, for ever since it's been released. Now, as you know, the Switch was released March 2017, but what I noticed is that the system is lacking something that really should be used to much greater effect in certain games. Now, first let's talk about the inspiration for all this that wouldn't even be possible for the Switch without it, and that would be the Nintendo Wii, right? So the Wii was well known, of course, as we all know, as a system with the motion controls that first introduced it with Wii Sports, the Waggle, and all that stuff, and it sold great. Came out in 2006 and was a worldwide success, very popular. The big thing that hampered the Wii was that it was viewed as a gimmicky system with the Waggle controls and something as a casual console to play with family and friends, only on special occasions really. And the term Waggle controls was really the only word people were using to describe the main hook of the system. But there's a big feature of the Wii and even the Wii U that didn't get used nearly enough as what I think it should have been used in my opinion, and that was the IR sensor of the Wii remote controller. That was that infrared camera that could sense 2 points of light basically as a reticle on screen, and it can be moved on screen very similar in accuracy to a PC mouse could. Games like Metroid Prime 3, Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition, and the various Call of Duty games on the Wii, for example, they use the IR sensor of the Wii remote to the greatest effect when you take a look back on it. But the overall uses of it were few and far between. And then Nintendo, of course, moved away from motion controls with the Wii U and focused on the gamepad, which we all know was a concept that failed. Even though the Wii U still supported the Wii Remote and the Wii Remote Plus from the original console, none of Nintendo's first-party games really used the feature much at all on the Wii U. They're just using mainly the Pro Controller and the gamepad for the first-party games. The Wii Remote was kind of forgotten about. Only a few games like Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and Call of Duty Ghosts, those first-person shooters in the Wii U, used the Wii Remote IR sensor to do the aiming in those games as an option. Then of course, as we all know, a third party abandoned the Wii U in 2013, and then all that stuff kind of went bye-bye for the Wii. So now we have the Nintendo Switch released in March 2017, and the Joy-Cons are reportedly expensive to create, right? But what has been interesting is that these Joy-Cons have been used mainly just for basic motion control, similar to the original Wii was, like with shaking the controller, like for Waggle, and then gyroscopic aiming for games like Splatoon 2, and now in Doom even for the recent patch they just had on it that allows you to aim with motion controls gyroscopically. However, the Joy-Con has a much more advanced IR camera built inside the controller that is far more powerful than the Wii Remote ever was, and it's able to view a far greater range of objects in far greater detail. So while, you know, first-person shooters may feel better with gyroscopic aiming like in Splatoon 2 and Doom, for example, I really think the IR camera for aiming would be an amazing added option for these kind of games for the Switch, such as the upcoming AAA first-person shooter Wolfenstein 2. Now, I'm well aware that people do like the gyroscopic aiming of Splatoon 2, for example, and they got really used to it, and they feel the controls really well. So you may wonder what the big difference is between gyro aiming and IR pointer aiming. Well, to put simply, IR aiming for games on the Wii, for example, would allow you to aim on the screen with pinpoint accuracy in any part of the screen, you know, without the camera moving to disorientate you. What's also interesting is that it would have an invisible bounding box, so if the player moved their aiming sight out of this box, then the camera will start moving based on the sensitivity of the size of the box the player chose. So it had a lot of options you could adjust. So like in Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition, for example, the Wii Remote IR aiming was just perfect for that game because the game's control design was made in a way that your character had limited mobility while aiming, so it made it really easy to aim at any point on the screen without needing to move the camera much really. And then you had first-person shooters like Call of Duty and even Metroid Prime 3. The options basically were limitless really, because you could adjust basically anything you wanted in those games. And you could even make it so if you held down the one button on the controller, it would stop the camera from moving, and you could just point anywhere you wanted to, kind of like a light gun shooter for that moment, and, you know, shoot at any part of the screen if you wanted to. You could just adjust it in many different types of ways. It was just a really accurate way to play those type of games, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I really think this type of control freedom has been greatly missed by many players since the Wii and into the early Wii U era of games. So basically, as the Switch continues to sell, these type of features in the control styles of the Joy-Cons can add depth and can help balance out the technical disadvantage the Switch has in terms of processing power, in terms of graphics and the port quality versus like the PlayStation 4, for example. Since Nintendo invested a lot of money in the technology of the Joy-Con controllers, Nintendo obviously won't be able to force third-party developers to use the IR camera and the Joy-Con, but they can at least set a new standard with games like Metroid Prime 4 and perhaps even Pokemon when they're released in the not-too-distant future themselves by using this IR camera and the Joy-Con to much greater effect, making it something that core gamers would like to use and not something all gimmicky like in minigames, stuff like that. I think it's time to unleash the IR camera of the Joy-Con in core games, especially first-person shooters. I really think it would be a huge benefit to the system and give it something that the fans could gravitate to as being something unique to the system besides it just being portable. I really think that would help the system have a longer, unique interest as far as the consumer is concerned. So I guess the whole point I'm trying to make is that let's not let another console generation go by with missing out on another awesome feature that has now been given a second chance at greatness. Alright guys, that will do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.